Hello. Sorry for the delay. Just had to take care of one thing before the stream started, but we're okay now. Welcome back. Good morning. Happy Monday. And it's daylight savings time here, so that means the stream is an hour later than usual, depending on where you are. But anyway, today we're going to be doing some interesting stuff for Alchemortis. I have some kind of fun things that I want to try. Some bugs to fix up and some things to try out. But before we get into it, I want to remind everyone that Alchemortis is available for wishlisting. It's a dark fantasy roguelite auto battler where you can use alchemy to create your own builds and synergies. So if that sounds good to you, definitely check out the Steam page. That's linked below. You can also support the game on Patreon. If you subscribe at this sponsored tier for at least 1 month, I'm going to send you an Alchemortis Steam key and put your name in the in-game Alchemortis credits. So yeah, that's an option for you if you are interested in supporting the game financially. But you could also purchase one of my Udemy courses. These are going to teach you how to build complete games in the Godot engine. So yeah, check that all out. You can join the Discord as well. That's linked in the description below. And let's get right into it. Hello, Johan. Welcome back. Spring is in the air and so is game development, yeah. Monday game dev time. Hello, Nathan. It's earlier here. Did I get it wrong? Is it earlier? I don't know. I get so confused with the time stuff. Let's see. So I did a couple of things over the weekend. I rebalanced a lot of things, fixed a lot of issues. So one of the big things that I did over the weekend is I updated the enemy board generator. So if I look at the board configuration editor here, previously I was ending up with situations where, for example, like the mouse would be placed too many times. So I could go in here now and I could do 6, 6, and then let's just do 1 for the notoriety region, 3000. Generate some boards here with the wave function collapse, and I'm getting a lot more sensible boards now. And the critical issue, I don't really know how to explain this in a very quick manner, but the critical issue is that the way the wave function collapse works is that it places a card at a cell, and then depending on how that card interacts with other cards, it will collapse the possible cards that can be placed at certain other cells. So, for instance, if I were to place the horse, this has an ability that scales off of minion cards to the right. And so what it will do is it will choose a handful of cells that are over to the right, and then it will basically reduce the number of possibilities of cards that can be placed to that cell to the cards that match that ability. So in other words, it might choose this cell as being only minions can be chosen for this cell, right? So it worked in that direction, but one thing that the algorithm was missing is working in the backwards direction. So the horse is not saying every cell to the right needs to be a minion. It's only choosing a couple of cells to collapse into minion cards. But if we were to select a card at an unaffected cell, if we were to select an unaffected cell that is also to the right of the warhorse, we're adding in a bias now for any other cards that could be placed at that spot. It looks backwards. It looks at the cards that have already been placed and says, okay, do I match any of the abilities for cards that are already placed? If so, it gets a bias, a massive bias added to it in the loot table that ultimately chooses the card. So now we have like a bi-directional relationship here where a card gets placed and then it dictates what cards can be placed at the empty cells. And then when an empty cell is chosen that is not currently affected by a card, it will look backwards at the current board and kind of give a bias to the things that could be filled in that space that would work with the pre-existing placed cards. So that has made a huge improvement to the enemy board layouts. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm still getting a lot of field mice being placed, but I think that is largely due to the fact that this is not only a 1/1 card, but it's also a minion. And I believe it's the only 1/1 minion card that the enemy has. So this will be further reduced. The frequency of this card will be further reduced by introducing more 1/1 enemy minion cards. But I've also modified the algorithm to massively reduce the probability that duplicates are going to be placed. The only time a duplicate would be placed is if it's basically the only option left after collapsing all the probabilities. So anyway, we tend to get much more sensible boards out of the enemy configurations now. And, you know, the Warhorse is now quite often interacting with minions, which was not the case before. Sometimes we still get cards that don't synergize with anything, but that's all right because, you know, like this Warhorse may synergize with the Jester, even though the Warhorse doesn't have a synergy itself for that second ability. So those situations are still going to happen. But again, the goal here is not for the enemy to create like perfectly ideal boards. The goal here is for the enemy to create boards that have a good amount of synergy, that look reasonably sensible, and that present enough variety in terms of combat to the player. So anyway, I think that is good. And yeah, the anvil here didn't get placed next to a weapon, but we could generate a couple more here. Still not placed next to a weapon. Still not placed next to a weapon. So maybe there's still some room for improvement here, but in that case, the anvil was placed next to a weapon. So yeah, I think it's generally going pretty well. There we go. Anvil next to weapon there. Anvil next to weapon there. So again, it's not perfect, but it's generally better. Anyway, let's see here. But I think we're also getting a higher variety of boards as well. Like these boards, as I'm clicking through generating this, I'm seeing a lot of different patterns emerging than before. So that's good. The other thing that I did is I increased the notoriety penalty of all the nodes. I kind of felt like the traversal periods between enemy upgrades were a little bit too long. So previously the base score for all these nodes was 4, and then it was adding anywhere from like 0 to 5 points on top of that 4. But now it's got a base score of 8, I believe, and then it's adding plus or minus, a range of plus or minus 2. So generally speaking, you're going to be able to visit less nodes before the enemy strength increases, which makes sense with the new map layout that we have, the new map functionality that we have, because hitting this 100 notoriety does not trigger a boss fight immediately. It just increases the difficulty of enemy combats. So I think that makes sense. What else did I do? I just fixed a bunch of other bugs and everything. Oh, I also, yeah, I went through and I reduced a bunch of the ability numbers as well. Again, in an attempt to slow down the combat a little bit. I was talking about this in the last stream, but the goal here is to make combat not so bursty and to give room for like synergies to build up and cycle multiple times during a combat. So that was a first attempt at reducing the burstiness. I just kind of like reduced numbers across the board again. And if there's more to be done there, then we'll do that. But anyway, there's a couple of things that I want to do, minor things here. I want to make the fire arrow ability work with any card. And I also want to fix a little notoriety animation thing. And then I'm going to update some art. But I'll talk more about that when we get there. So anyway, let's fix this real quick. So this fire arrow, what it does, 1 second. So what this fire arrow does is it will paralyze a random enemy minion if the board contains multiple fire arrow cards. Now the problem here though is that the player can acquire enemy cards in certain situations, and so if the player got a fire arrow, for example, they would be required to get another fire arrow to make use of this card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this ability so that it just matches the card type that this ability is currently on. And we're actually already doing that to some extent with the Corvid here. So what the Corvid does is it will say, okay, whatever card this ability is on, if I have another card of that same type on the board, then it's going to echo. So in the case of Corvid, it will echo if the board contains multiple Corvid cards. But if I alchemize this ability onto like a mushroom or something, then this echo will take effect if there's another mushroom of the same type on the board. So we're going to make that change here as well. And that means that I need this card data provider. So I'm just going to yeet this over here. I think I can yeet this over here. What does this do? So we have the card data provider. So card data provider, and then the Corvid here, card.getType is equal to card-data-provider.card-type. So we're going to do card.getType is equal to card-data-provider.card-type. What? Oh, card type. Oh, it's called custom filter. Am I using that card type filter func? Oh yeah, type of mutton. Okay. So we can do that, and then down here, instead of using this tag self name, we're gonna do card data provider display name. And then we need to put, no, we need to put that I think we just put this non-combat composed ability there. Okay, let's give that a shot. So I think that's the goal. If I have abilities that are going to scale based on other cards on the board, I want to make sure that that's flexible enough that the player can use it. So you have Fire Arrow. If the board contains multiple, it didn't work. Why didn't that work? Why didn't that work? Oh, right. So we just discovered another bug. So I disabled the board state contingent ability. So basically, oh, this is going to be a pain. So these non-combat abilities will update outside of a combat context. So anytime a board state changes, either because a card got added or moved or whatever, typically what happens is those non-combat abilities are updated, but I disabled the non-combat card updating for the player inventory. So that means that when I get a fire arrow just added to my inventory, it's not updating that data until I move it into a board where the non-combat abilities can be updated. So how do I want to handle this? Hello, Ariane, welcome back. Well, I think what I'll do for now is I'll just undo this change that I made. Ignore contingent state updates. So, I mean, I can just remove this and allow the contingent state updates to happen again. The whole reason why I put that in place, though, is because stuff like the giant mushroom here, that will modify the turn cooldown of cards. So if I put, so this Skeleton Mage has a turn cooldown of 6. If I put that here, it becomes 15 because of the Fungus Gigantus, which can be a little bit confusing because, you know, you take a card that has a 5-turn cooldown, you put it in your inventory, you put it underneath this Fungus Gigantus, and all of a sudden it's like you know, a 15-turn cooldown, and you're like, what the heck? Why is that happening? So I thought, well, I could just disable contingent state updates there, but then the problem is things like the fire arrow won't update either. So I might just have to revert that change for now and revisit that at some other point, because the only other way to handle that is to like do a fine-grained control of each ability that should, each non-combat ability that should update in the inventory, and each non-combat ability that should not update in the inventory, which is going to be a whole mess. So I think we'll just revert that change for now. But anyway, let's alchemize this fire arrow ability onto the Skeleton Mage if we can do that. And it didn't work. That's cool. So we get the fire arrow. Just make sure this works. And it's still not working. Come on, man. Let's just throw these together and see. Hello, Ninja Link. Welcome back. Why am I not getting what I want here? Come on, give me what I want. Okay. Applies paralysis for 2 turns to 1 random enemy minion card if the board contains multiple Skeleton Mage cards. Okay. There we go. So that works. We can call that good. So make the fire arrow more generic. Okay, don't delay notoriety increase if visiting cleared node. I unfortunately think the delay is in here, notoriety delay, yeah. Connect to notoriety level changed. How are we going to skip this delay? Where's that reset? What I might do is I might just do... Let's just put a breakpoint here. I want to see what happens with this. Hopefully I can just use this flag here to determine if I needed to delay that progress. Let's get rid of all these other breakpoints. Visited undiscovered node is false. Do I need that here? Let's see. Emit signal request move entities. I think what I can do... I think I can just put the visited undiscovered node equals false here. And then we can remove the visited undiscovered node equals false there, because I think the post map travel is always visited as a state. So I can leave that flag set to true until we get to this section here. And then what I could do is emit signal notoriety level changed. Bool visited undiscovered node. I'm going to need to update all the places where this is used. Progress tween dot set delay. Oh, I have to delay the method. Okay. Alrighty. Cheat set notoriety level false. Visited undiscovered node. Okay. I'm gonna have to redo the tutorial as well. Ugh. Okay, anyway. Let's see if that works. Hello, Eto, welcome back. What are we doing today? Just a bunch of odds and ends things. Just getting everything tweaked up, you know? I think I want to try to target another playtest for the end of this month. I think that would be good. Because I've got a lot of changes to test. And hopefully everything's good and then we can go from there. Okay, so that progress delay. So previously, if I visited a cleared node, that was delaying quite a bit. It looks like it's still delaying, actually. The actual progress tween, so I gotta fix that as well. Yeah, there's a set delay, notoriety delay. Could probably make this a little bit easier. Can I set a delay of 0? Anyway. I wonder if I could just do this. That might be easier. All right, let's see if that works. Okay, that seemed to work. We'll just go into the combat real quick. Make sure this still works. There we go. Cool. All right. I think that makes sense. So fix notoriety delay on cleared nodes. Cool. All right, we're going to get into something fun now. And that is we are going to update the clickables to use the same color scheme as map nodes. So I think what I want to try, and this is just going to be an experiment largely, but for anything that's clickable, instead of using the dark colors here, I'm going to use the same thing that I did for the map node, which is to use like a step up in the color palette, lighter colors. So we use this lighter colors to convey clickable items. So it'll be the outline animation in addition to the lighter colors. Basically anything that has a lighter color will be clickable. And we're going to try that. So yeah, we will see how this goes. But hello, Snupbill. Welcome back. Good to see you with the message yummers. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Rookie Tookie. Welcome. So this is going to be a little bit of a pain, but let me just try it with the enchant first, if I can figure out where the enchant stuff is. Assets, UI, enchant. Okay. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so Tentacle 1, we're just going to step up the colors here. Like so. But then the problem with stepping up the colors is now I also have like an extra color to work with here. So I am going to have to do some touching up of the art here. Which should be all right. Should be just fine. Okay, I think that will work. The other thing I can do is I can sprinkle in some lighter highlights as well. Well, I don't know about that one, but maybe we'll do something slightly different here. Yeah, that's probably fine. Maybe I'll get rid of this. Yeah, there we go. That should work. We can also darken some of this up here. Yeah, so we'll give that a shot. We'll see what that does. But now I gotta do this for the other tentacle as well. Good morning, Chris. Welcome back. Good to see you. So we'll do this now. This one might be a little bit easier. But we'll see. Yeah, maybe something like that. And then we can sprinkle in these as well. All right. And then here. So we'll have to see how that looks. I hope I can just do this. Give me 1 second real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. The cat was getting into something. What else is new? Oh, this is not right. So now I need to figure out how to export these. Okay, well, I can do this. Discard those. I need to figure out what those dimensions are. 61 by 82. I did not make it easy on myself, did I? That was for tentacle 3. Selection, tentacle 3. Tentacle 1. Okay. So that seems to be working now. Okay, what is my enchant? Event type 4. Project settings, we're going to generate a test map 4. All right, let's see what this looks like. Well, one side effect there, my head is in the way, I know, but one side effect there is it makes the wave animation very apparent. So I may need to, I may need to fix that, but what do we think about this though? Like, is this kind of visual language going to make more sense? So the items that are lighter are clickable? Has a cat been put into the game yet? Yes, yes. So what do you think? I mean, should I go with this? Should we increase the brightness of clickable elements like this? Yeah, I realize it. Yeah, I know it looks jittery. It needs to be fixed, but we're not focused on that right now. We're focused on the color change. Kind of interesting that it didn't look jittery with the other color scheme. The visual looks good to me, much more obvious. More clear now, color looks good. Okay, so we'll fix the jitteriness later. Let me go through and update some more items. So let's see. I mean, I guess we'll just go through all the event types because that's basically where everything's clickable. Combat shop. Oh, that's going to be a pain in the rear to update the shop. Grill board, max health. I think max health is probably okay already because it has those colors. Card upgrades, we're going to need to update the boosters. So we're going to need to update this. All right, let's figure that out. Do you want to save the enchant? Okay. Open file, assets UI, booster. Okay, headstone. Are these all separate? Yeah, so the headstone, okay, and then the grave. So let's just focus on the headstone for now. Do that. Do this. Do that. And then we'll have to update the colors here. Okay. So we can actually make these highlights a little bit more apparent as well. And then do I want to go and just add some white in here as well? Maybe. That one might be fine, actually. That one's probably also fine. Okay. We'll keep that then. We don't need this headstone outline anymore. Grave foreground. Okay. Probably should update this art more generally speaking, but we will worry about that later. Oh, I see. I should probably do this first. Okay. Try to make these look more like rocks. This is going to be quite an effort to update all this art. But we'll get it done. Think that helps? Good. Somebody offered to play my prototype on their channel. What? Well, not prototype, but playtest. The version is all the work after the prototype. Why is it capitalizing prototype? I don't know, but that's awesome. Congrats, Game Devable. It is always exciting when somebody on YouTube plays your game. This one's a little weird, but that's all right. Doesn't need to be perfect. Doesn't need to be perfect. Okay, I would say that that's already looking much better. Yeah, that'll work, I think. So now I need to take this grave foreground here. Okay. Put the grave background up. Copy this. Paste that here. Okay. We don't need this grave outline anymore. We don't need the shovel outline. Okay, let's update the shovel now. Okay. And we could probably actually use the darker colors here. Maybe not. Yeah, maybe we'll just stick with that. I will put some darker parts here, though. We'll see. Oops. I guess I don't know how to draw a shovel. We'll just do this. Well, that's probably decent enough. I don't know. Maybe I'll take a gander at this some other time. But that should be all right. Should be fine for now. Okay, anyway, so we need to do the grave. No, just the foreground, the background, and the headstone. Okay, let's export those. Actually, before I do that, no, it should be fine. Export layers, boom. Hello, TK, welcome back. Good to see you. How are you doing? When you first started out, did you ever start projects, but at a certain point you gave up because you stopped seeing the potential in the game or thought it was too difficult to realize the idea? Yes, many times. Many, 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 many times. I have dozens, maybe even pushing 100 unfinished projects from just all throughout my time doing game development. So yeah, that's definitely, I would say that's definitely normal. The thing is, I didn't really start finishing projects until I got serious about finishing the projects. Like, up until that point where I started trying to actually finish things, it was mostly just like, oh, you know, you get a moment of inspiration, like, you go hard on the prototype, whatever, for 3 weeks, and then it's like, it's not really turning out how I envisioned it in my head, you know what I mean? But that's, I think to some extent that's always going to happen, especially if you're not experienced with actually finishing games. Like, you're always going to hit that point where it's like, oh, this isn't turning out how I had it in my head. But you have to work through that, I think. Like, you have to actually get to the point where you figure out, okay, why isn't it working the way that I wanted it to work? And what can I do to fix that? I think that's pretty much a requirement to be able to get further in game development. It's hard for me to finish a game no matter how small it is. Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. I think the reason why a lot of people, including me, don't finish projects is because they don't believe their work is worthy of putting out there or selling. Yeah, and here's the hard truth. That may be true, right? Like, it may be the case that the little prototype you made is actually not that good and that it's not worth selling. But that in and of itself is a problem that needs to be fixed too, right? Like, you make something, oh, it's not good enough to sell. What's the next step? Well, you got to figure out how to make it good enough to sell, right? You got to figure out what is it missing? What is not grabbing the player? What's not working, right? So it's like that may actually be a true analysis. So they don't fully commit since there's this what's the point mindset in the back of their head. Yeah. Well, that's why I'm big on framing. Like, if you go into a thing like game development expecting it to be difficult, expecting yourself to struggle over game design, expecting yourself to struggle over programming and art and VFX, and if you approach it with the mindset of like, yeah, I'm going to encounter those problems and I'm going to have to work through them, I think that's a lot more helpful than expecting to be able to create like a game that you'll be able to sell on Steam with relatively little difficulty. I think it's much easier to just go in expecting like, yeah, you're going to struggle with a lot of things, and you may even struggle with just the core design of the game, right? You may struggle with actually coming up with gameplay systems that work well together. And the point is not to stop there, but to work through that. Like, it's a problem just like any other. It's a problem that presents itself that needs to be worked through. So I think if you approach it with that mindset, it becomes a little bit easier. I certainly have had those moments too, where it's like, yeah, this game is just not panning out. Like, it's not doing what I want it to do. Yeah, I think that's looking better. Yeah, I think the light colors definitely work better here. How long it takes to create an MMORPG game, and which game engine do they mostly use? That is a good question. That is beyond my realm of expertise. But I think the general consensus is that MMORPGs are one of the most difficult games that anyone can make. Whether you have a team of 300 people and a $100 million budget, or whether you're a solo dev, it kind of doesn't matter. Like, it's one of the hardest things that you could possibly do. And even like, you know, there are all kinds of MMORPGs that come out and fail. They dump millions of dollars into them. They get like 5 players on release and then they shut down 3 weeks later. Like, the exceptions are the ones that you've heard of. So, yeah. I don't think anyone thinks building an MMORPG is a good idea. That's why there are no like, or there are very few AAA MMORPGs, is because it's just like, it's way too risky. In my opinion, a problem that perhaps at the beginning of seeing other projects, big projects, can demoralize you, make you think you're not capable. Well, here's the thing. Yeah, you're probably not capable. Like, I know that's not what people want to hear, right? People want to hear, oh, you know, believe in yourself, and yeah, you are capable, and you just need to like have a positive outlook. What if the answer is no, you're not capable? That doesn't mean that you should stop there. It means that you have skills that need to be developed, right? So yeah, you may not be capable of making a game that can sell some copies. That's not the end of the story, right? The next step is, how do you become capable, right? How do you develop the skills that give you that capability, right? You know, people aren't born with the capability to design CPUs, right? If you struggled for like 1 semester in algebra in grade school, does that mean that you can't be a CPU designer? No, it just means you have skills that need to be developed, right? You may want to update the particle effects for the shovel digging up the grave to be a shade lighter to match. Yeah, I'm definitely going to do that for sure. Let's do that. Let's see. Where is that dang thing? Oh, that's the stone. Oh, I need to update the stone particles. Yeah. Oh, it's not just a regular color. It's actual stone particles. Where is that? Open file. Assets. Effect. Particles rocks. Is this it? I think so. Yeah, particles rocks here. Dang, yeah. 100% look at big projects, it blows my mind. Then I remember I've only been doing this for 2 months versus people who have been making games for years. Yeah, I mean, look at my case. Like, I've sold like, I think close to, well, it might, I actually don't know. I think it's around 3,000 copies of Gunforged, which is like, it's good, right? But it's not that good. But it took me a very, very long time to get to that point. Like, I've been doing game development since I was 14, and you know, you're watching me build Alchemortis now, and I like to think I'm relatively capable of building this game. But what you haven't seen is you don't see all of my old projects that I have saved to my disk, the dozens of project folders that just have like really crappy prototypes that are just like super janky and don't really work. What you don't see is all the times that I struggled when I was learning my first steps doing like pixel art and visual effects and all that stuff. And I've been doing this since I was 14, and I'm 31 now. And it wasn't until like, I don't know, whenever Gunforge released that I actually sold some copies of my game. So that's like, you know, that is basically a decade and a half of game development effort until I sold my first real amount of copies, right? And you don't see all of that when you come into this stream and you watch me work on Alchemortis, right? And I think, you know, I may actually be the exception. Like, it may have taken me an extraordinary amount of time to get to the point where I could have that capability. Like, a decade and a half is a very long time to actually be able to sell games. I'm sure there are people out there, and maybe you're one of these people, who maybe you just have an aptitude for game development where you're going to be able to learn a lot quicker. Maybe you've got a little bit more of an art sense, and you can whip up art or learn an art skill much quicker than I can, right? So that's the thing, like, you're not seeing all that effort that went into getting to where I am currently. And even still, like, yeah, there are many, 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 many game developers out there that are far more capable and talented than I am. And some of those people, you know, some of those people are prodigies, and they did game development for 3 years and then they sold 1 million copies on Steam, right? But everyone has their different capabilities. Everyone has their own aptitudes and struggles. And, you know, that's just something that you have to keep in mind, right? So I like working on teams, and I kind of want to take some game dev classes at the university I work at. Not because I can't teach myself, but it's nice to be around others with the same goal. Yeah, for sure, yeah. Yeah, that can definitely help. Load default palette. Okay. Let's brighten those. Ah, I did it in the wrong order. Okay. We'll do this. Do this. Do this. Okay, and now I need to actually make these. We're just going to very, very haphazardly draw some rocks here. Very haphazardly draw some rocks. These are just like very quick, short-lived particles, so these actually don't need to be the most beautiful things in the world. That should work, though. Why did that not get updated? Oh, did I update the wrong... Really? What is that particles rocks, then? Oh, artifact event container. Well, I guess I'm probably still going to want to use those, but I updated the wrong thing. This one's called Particles Stone. Oh, pardon me. Particles Stone. So now I got to do that all over again. I'm sure I will use those particles, actually. I think that's probably true. But now I got to draw some more rocks. These ones are already kind of like drawn in a sensible way, so we'll just do that, and then I'll add some darker parts here. Then we can make some of these lighter parts a little bit thicker. Okay. There we go. All right, let's see what that does. There was also a particles rocks file, by the way. Not sure if you needed to update that one too. Yeah. I gotta update both. They have a shade tool in Aseprite, by the way. You could select the colors in your palette and then set it if you want brighter or darker, and it will recolor the pixels to what color's next. Oh, that's interesting. I have not discovered that. I'll have to look that up. Rocks for days. You should be able to lighten everything in one swipe and then just add your shadows. Yeah, I can do that. I'll see what happens. I wasn't really paying attention to those particle shaders, or that particle texture. There we go. All right, we're back in business. Okay, I'm gonna call the booster done for now. All right, how many more do we have? We got to do the artifact. Oh, the artifact screen, though. Oh, look at all this stuff that needs to be updated. Fudge. Well, actually, it's only the clickable elements that need to be updated. So in the case of the booster, I updated everything because that whole thing is clickable. But in the case of the artifact, only the shovel and these pillars are clickable elements. So everything else can stay the dark color, actually. Yeah, that'll work. You just click the ink bottle by the pixel size setting and select shading. Okay, we'll give that a shot. We will give that a shot. But I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break here, and then when I come back, we're going to continue on. Are we still liking the recoloring now that we've seen the booster and now that we've seen the enchant screen? I think that's just a better visual language. Like everything that's kind of like dark is just kind of like a background or decorative element, and then the things that are lighter colors are going to be the clickable elements. So hopefully that will help to distinguish. And also I think that that's going to go a long way in terms of addressing the feedback that a lot of people have when they watch the streams that the game is too dark. So just by brightening up the clickable elements, that should add more visual variety to the screen, which should hopefully make it feel not so dark as well. So yeah, we'll figure that out, but I'll be right back in 3 minutes and we'll continue on. Okay, I'm back. You do like the updated colors? Awesome. Yeah, I'm liking them too. I'm liking them too. So we'll continue on then. Artifact. Oh, yeah. Okay, let's see what we can do here. Are these all individual sprites here? Let's see. Pillar 1 icon. Pillar 1. Okay, so hopefully this will just be really easy. Because I basically just need to take pillar 3 here. Let's try the shading thing. You just click the ink bottle by the pixel size setting and select shading. Ink button, shading. Select colors in the palette. Oh. I'm afraid to say I don't know how to use that tool. Now drag over your colors, then left click darkens, right click lightens. Oh, I'm on the wrong pillar. Is this really easier? That doesn't seem easier to me. Maybe I'm just using the tool wrong, but... like, is it not easier just to do this? Done. Reshaded. Yeah, anyway. Let's just get rid of everything here. Get rid of this, get rid of that. Okay. And it will only touch the colors that match the colors in your palette. You could just use a simple brush to apply it. Oh, I see. So increase the brush size. Seems like that tool is mainly for spot shading and lighting. You could just do one swipe of your whole sprite, but whatever works for you. Yeah, I mean, if I have to go through and set up the colors anyway, I mean, maybe this would be saved between sprites. But if I have to set up the colors anyway, it's just easier to just magic select all and then select the color fill. But maybe I'll give it another try. I mean, I do think that tool seems pretty useful. I'll just have to think about using it some more. Do I want to put the light color on here? That actually kind of looks cool. Yeah, that looks cool. And then for down here, just go ahead and darken some of this up here. Yeah. I like, the other thing I like about this, this color change is that I have a lot more, I have one extra color basically to do highlighting with, or to do shading with rather. And so I can create some more depth in the sprites. So I do like that. And then I could even go even further and just highlight that, do some highlighting there. And then instead of black here, I'll just put those. And then here, I don't think any of this stuff is visible, so I don't think it's a super big deal. But Just go ahead and do this. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Now there's this pixel way over here. What is that doing? Okay, so there's pillar 3. Let's do pillar 2 now. With the same concept. Brighten that up. Brighten that up. Brighten that up. And then we'll do same thing. We'll just highlight the top. Maybe we can do something similar there. Yeah. This will work relatively nicely, I think. Do this. Okay. Yeah, I'm liking how this is looking. Could even bring the black in a little bit here. Yeah. Very cool. Okay. And then do I want to just bring this in a little bit? Yeah, that looks fine. And then for this, oops, and then here. Actually, I think that's okay. Oh, and then I have rocks on the side here. I like how this is turning out. This looks a little bit flat to me. I suppose that's fine, and then I can add maybe a highlight here. Yeah, I think that's fine. Cool. All right, we have one more to do. Actually, this looks a little bit weird down here. Okay. One more pillar. Here, let's try the shading thing again. Oh, I see. Yeah, look at that. Very cool. Okay. Yeah, what's kind of confusing is that it doesn't show you a little brush preview when you're in the shading mode. So I was like, not quite sure what was happening there, but there we go. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Let's get rid of this. Don't need that there. I think that looks decent. Okay, and then up here. Yeah, that'll work. Here, here. Yep, and then we can just do something like this. I might want to go back to my pillar 2, actually. Yeah, slap that there. Okay, pillar 1. I think we're basically almost done here. With this screen, anyway. I'm going to have to do the pickaxe, though. The pickaxe is going to be probably okay, but I don't know. We will see. Okay, and now pickaxe time. Pickaxe, boom. We're gonna do shading. Look at that. Yeah, this one is gonna need some help. This one is gonna need some help. Does size matter for performance? Oh, goodness. I can't tell if that's a serious question or not. Welcome, Steak Fan Club. I'm also in the Steak Fan Club. It's just a nice little tool you can mess around with. Saves you from having to constantly swap colors since you can just light and darken with mouse clicks. But it's not like the way you're doing it is slowing you down or anything, so it just comes down to preference. Yeah. Also, if you press X, it will reverse your shading palette. Oh, interesting. So that will update the color in your brush, and then you can just stick to the left mouse button. Gotcha. Hello, Jackie Daytona. Welcome back. Always good to see you. Yeah, I appreciate the Aseprite tips. There's all kinds of stuff in Aseprite that I'm just not familiar with. So it's nice to learn more about it. Knowing the tool is half of the productivity, obviously. Like being able to know what tools are available to you. I don't think this pickaxe was that great to begin with, if I'm being perfectly honest, but maybe I'll redraw it some other time. That seems fine to me, though. All right, let's see if I can just export all these now. Export layers. Hopefully that will just auto update. It was serious. Does size matter for performance? I mean everything. I guess. Are you talking about art size? I mean, obviously, the more textures you have, the more VRAM you're going to use. But when you're doing the kind of game that I'm doing, like, the graphical side of things is not likely to be an issue at all. All the performance issues that I've had in Alka Mortis were all like CPU issues or Godot C# interop issues. But as far as like shaders and the art being rendered to the screen, it's like, you know, a 10-year-old laptop can render this game no problems, you know? So I'm not an expert when it comes to like the performance of visual things. I haven't really like pushed the envelope at all with any of my games in terms of like the rendering. So I basically treat it as if I have infinite visual like video rendering performance. Don't tell me that didn't work. Yeah, it thinks that that is not a new thing. Assets UI artifact. Pillars. Oh, I know why that happened. Okay. We need to... That one was modified. We need to undo this. I need to remove the group name from the export there. Export layers. We're going to remove this layer groups here. Okay, now we export. Barely know anything about Aseprite myself, just messed around with that specific tool a bit, not an artist by any means. Gotcha. Does canvas size matter? I don't think so. I mean, to some degree, obviously, like if you're going to render a higher resolution canvas, then that's going to have more performance implications. But again, I just don't think it matters that much. I don't think it's worth thinking about. At least I haven't seen a situation where like I had to think about the canvas size mattering to performance. It's just not a concern. One benefit that I'm noticing with updating the clickables to be brighter is that it allows you to leverage more colors to add more detail. Like the previous pillars were so much flatter than now. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's great. Oh, I also just recognized one problem here. This pillar 3, this can't be black here. This needs to be this color. And I also messed up pillar 2 a little bit. Dang. I'm dropping the ball here. Okay, I think that's fine. Let's do another export. Any day now. Any day now. Okay. All right, so now we've got updated pillars. So let's take a look at that. What is my test map node type? Oh, I have it here. Artifact is 9. It just... What am I doing? Where's my head at? Where is my head at? Somebody help me find my head. It's here. Okay, I need to update those particles as well. Yeah, this looks much nicer. But, oh my... I need to update the icons too. Okay. Yeah, okay. That's fine. Let's update the icons as well. Pillar 1 icon. I think we could just do that. Probably need to update this color as well. Yeah. Okay, pillar 2 icon. Update this, update that. and then pillar 3 icon. I'm also going to need to do the lit versions as well. Oh, maybe not. No, we're good. Okay. Let's export all these again. Hopefully this goes a little bit quicker. Might need to stick to the bigger end like Blasphemous. Well, yeah, I mean, there's a difference between like canvas size and what the window size is. I don't know, maybe you already know that, but so like this game is a 640 by 360 canvas, but it obviously is stretched to the window size to fill the window. So this window right here, this is actually a 1080p window. I'm on a 20 or a 1440p display. So this is a 1920 by 1080 window, but the canvas size is 640 by 360. So this is being scaled, what? Is that 3 times? I think it's 3 times, yeah. So it's being scaled by 3x to fill the window, but it's a really, really small canvas. So I don't know what Blasphemous canvas size is, but yeah, there's a difference between what is the canvas size that the game is rendered to, and then what is the window size that that canvas is stretched up to. Why does that rock have that cake? It's got that cake. But you want to keep your scale consistent, yeah. Hello, Darius CXZ. Thank you for the raid. Very much appreciate that. Welcome, everybody. I'm working on my game Alchemortis, which is a dark fantasy roguelite auto battler with necromancy and alchemy themes, where you can use the alchemy system here to create your own synergies. So there's a Steam page available if you want to go check that out. That has more detail. Right now I'm just updating some of the art in the game. So welcome. Hope you find it interesting. Hey, thanks for the raid. I appreciate it. Welcome to the stream. All right. Yeah, that looks much better to me, actually. The clickable elements now are much, much brighter, which is good. Cool. And the fade out even looks better too, because there's more colors for the fade out shader to cycle through. Yeah, that looks great. Cool. All right. I think we can call the pillars good now. Tactics manual. Anyway, what is this? Handle is not initialized. I gotta figure out how to resolve that. I don't know why that happens. Update artifact art. Okay, what other events do we have? I think the health. This one is probably okay already because it is using the lighter colors to a large extent. I mean, I guess maybe I should go in and update these. Make them even brighter than they are. So let's go find where that is. Health option. Here we go. Here we go. All right. Okay, health file large. Does this keep the shading? It does. Cool. Health file medium. Health file small. Ooh, look at that. So I am going to have to go in though and update some of this stuff. Let's see. Probably actually want this to be dark there. Yeah, we got a lot of room now to make things a lot brighter. Let's just get rid of that. Well, maybe not. Yeah, I mean, I think that's looking good. And then for here, I'm going to get rid of this reference so I can see. Let me clean up some of the clutter here. There we go. This can probably be something like that. This down here can be brighter. Yeah, I'm liking how this is looking. Put a little highlight there and there. I can definitely extend the highlights along the edge of the glass here. Can I help you, cat? Maybe I'll just make this whole side red. Yeah. That's looking pretty good, I think. Oh boy, I got a lot of work ahead of me. It's all right. Yeah, I think that's generally looking a little bit nicer. Can't really complain too much about that. Maybe darken this up out here a little bit. Let's see. I wonder if this should just all be dark. No, probably not. I think that looks good, actually. We could darken this area. Sorry, I guess I needed to catch up on the chat. I'm in the zone. Yeah, I would say that looks much nicer. I don't know about this little section here, though. Let's get rid of this. Oops. Wrong color. Yeah, I don't know about this one. Anyway. Pixel art is lightweight, then yeah. Yeah, it is. Hello again, Ninja Link. The bulk of a pixel game is drawing and animation slides then? For the art, yeah. In theory, if you draw every file out and then import them all at once, you could code it in like a few hours. No. I mean, yeah, I guess it depends on how simple the game is. But code takes a long time too. I mean, I think I've probably spent more time writing code for Alka Mortis than I've done doing art, even though the art is relatively detailed. So, I mean, it entirely depends on what kind of game you're making, for sure. But, I mean, you can't even code a game jam game, a compelling game jam game in a couple hours. Like, you need quite a bit of time. Do I want to do some dark parts out here? Oh, why did I give myself so much work? That's probably fine. I don't know. It's probably okay. Oh, I gotta still update the other ones too. Oh, fudge. Okay, alright. The other ones are smaller though, so it should be alright. Looks incredible. I'm so curious about making things glow. Sega glowing as heaven. If you think it'll take you a couple hours, it'll really take you a couple days. Yeah, if you're just getting started, it's going to take a long time. Hello, Dev Godot. What's this about? We are updating the art for the game. Basically, the clickable items now are going to be brighter. Are going to have a little bit of a brighter palette, I guess you could say. And this is to solve a couple problems. One, to increase the visual clarity of what is clickable, what's interactable, and what's not. But also, this should go a long way to help brighten up the game as well. A lot of people said it was too dark. So this is kind of serving both purposes. We've already updated a couple of things, but yeah, we're working on the health upgrades now. Has anyone help of a coder? Would you feel guilty asking the game isn't fully yours? I mean, there are people that work on teams. I think it's very unlikely that if you're a beginner, you're going to find somebody that's just going to code your game idea for you. It's kind of like, it is what it is, you know? But you could potentially team up with somebody who's also learning game development and is interested in the code side, and you guys can work together. But somebody who already has the coding experience is probably not going to want to work on your game. Don't mean to be rude, but that's just how it is. I've been watching your YouTube videos since I'm new to Godot. Appreciate your content. Thank you, FryedX. Welcome back to the stream. Good to see you. Can't wait to see the game after release. Yeah, we're getting there. Like I said, I want to do another playtest at the end of this month. I'm hoping that there aren't going to be too many more playtests, and the reason I hope that is because I want to get the game to a state where there will be a demo available on the Steam page permanently, and so that will kind of eliminate the need for doing these semi-regular playtests. But I don't want to have a demo up on the Steam page until I'm pretty certain of the game systems, because the demo is going to be like first impression, right, for anyone who's coming to the Steam page fresh, who has never seen the game before, who's going to try it, and it has to be a very good experience to get them to wishlist it, right? So maybe like 1 or 2 more playtests before demo build, and then we can work towards release after that. We're getting close. We're getting close, but always feeling like I'm doing things the wrong way, but try not to let it stop me. That's okay. If the game works, then you don't need to be overly concerned about doing the wrong way. Will the game be on a phone? I don't have a laptop right now. It probably won't be on a phone, at least initially. I mean, I shouldn't say probably. It will not be available on mobile initially. Whether I do a mobile build later on, we'll see. I mean, it's always possible. I mean, I think I'd be... If the game does well on Steam, it should be easy enough to port to mobile and just like capitalize there as well, but it all depends, right? It all depends. A few days for you is probably 2 weeks for me, maybe. How to be a playtester? Well, not me because I don't have a laptop. So the way that playtests work is that if you're a Patreon subscriber, you get 1 week of early access to the playtest. And then if you're not a Patreon subscriber, you get access to the playtest for a week after the Patreon early access. So it's like, effectively, Patreon members get 2 weeks of access to the playtest. The first week is Patreon members only, and the second week is anyone who wants to be in the playtest can join the playtest. So that's the way I've been doing it. That's the way probably I'll continue to do it. Hello, Jehar. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to you as well. Welcome, welcome. Okay. All right, I know some of you just got here, but I have a meeting to get to in a little while here, and I'm going to eat some lunch before that. So I'm going to end the stream there, but I may stream again this afternoon, and if I do, it'll be continuing on with these art updates here. So if you're interested, definitely join the Discord and stay up to date when I go live. Otherwise, we'll be back at it tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. And... yeah, you can wishlist Alchemortis on Steam. That's linked below as well. Again, it's a dark fantasy roguelite auto battler where you can create your own builds and synergies with the alchemy system. So give it a wishlist if that sounds interesting to you. And let's see. Sega games look amazing, but a lot of them are too hard on purpose, which ruins the whole console. Oh, yeah. But anyway, I hope you all have a good day, and I'll see you in the next stream. Okay, bye-bye for now.